Welcome to BreitWerks. So we've got this 74, the top side pretty much buttoned up here, waiting on the distributor to get back. But today is all about installing those SSIs on the motor. Brand new SSIs, piece of cake, right? We'll see. The fitment always is something to wonder about. But we've got a box from our friends at Bellmetric. So we had the heads time inserted on the exhaust studs. So we're going to put new studs in it, and we'll see how it comes out. All right, time to flip the motor over. All right, so we've got bank 4 through 6 installed, and we put the exhaust gaskets on because we wanted to make sure that our 36mm studs had the right amount of protrusion, because the SSI that we're using is what's called a thin flange, which is correct for the 74 motors, but you have to make sure because you're going to put a barrel nut on these three. So when you put your tool in and you go to tighten it down, you got to make sure that the stud doesn't protrude so far out that your tool can't get into the barrel nut. Otherwise, then you have a nightmare. So looks like the 36mm overall length for the studs is going to work. And right now we're just going through, putting on the 1 through 3 side, and make sure you clean your gasket surfaces up. Even though these are all metal exhaust gaskets, you still want to make sure that there's nothing there. And always make sure that your gasket either matches or is a little bit bigger on your exhaust side. So you have, what do they call it, a reversion bump. Just little things that you make sure you go through all this effort and work, and you don't want to be choking the motor. There's plenty of discussion around the SSIs being a little too small, but not for a 2.7. If you put SSIs on a 3.2, you really need to get the, I think it's the 1 3/4, or else you will choke the motor. On the 2.7, no problem. All right, we're going to get on with it and get one of these headers installed. All right, we got 4 through 6 all tightened down. Couple different tools. I like to use a flange nut, and they're 12mm flats. So you can get in there with 12mm. Some of them are a little difficult to get to, but with a little patience, you can get down there, and you're looking for 25 Newton meters of torque. On top of that, I use a little bit of ARP Ultra Torque. But yeah, we're going to get on to the other side. You can see those guys down in there hiding, laughing at us right now. But since this is a Sportomatic transmission, typically we have to, let's see, which side are we on? Typically we have to make some room here, right, for the clutch Omega spring. But I'm wondering, maybe because it's a Sportomatic, we'll be able to leave these guys completely untouched. But we won't know any of that until we get the transmission back and install. So we're going to finish up this side. We'll get the heater hoses hooked up, and hopefully by the end of that, we'll be able to call the exhaust done. And there we have it. Got this little guy all torqued down, 25 Newton meters. Of course, we will re-torque it after a couple of heat cycles. But one of the things I wanted to show you before we go, these are the barrel nuts that are the proper nuts for SSIs. They go down the hole, and down there, you can sort of see one. Zoom in a little bit. And the key to the barrel nuts is, it sounds easy, but if you look at how the tool engages the barrel nut, if the stud is too far out, the tool can't bite down. So in this case, what we did, and I'm not a huge fan of putting washers, but we use these lock washers. They're 2mm thick, right? So that 2mm bought us back the penetration of the tool into the nut. So I look at this stuff as, hey, the next guy taking it apart is going to be me. So make it easy to repair if you have to. There's lots of reasons that you have to pull headers off. Sometimes oil return tubes leak. Sometimes you got to get at the rear oil pipe. Different reasons for pulling the headers off. So if you just stuff them on there and you say, oh, that's good, and it'll be the next guy's problem, well, it'll be the next guy's problem. So you want to make sure that you have all that. The open ones are, who cares, right? But the those barrel nuts definitely require you measuring and checking and making sure it all works. So we've got these beauties hooked up. We've got the heater hoses hooked up. And yeah, that is that on the headers. So we'll probably test fit the muffler, but I usually leave the muffler off until we put the motor back in the car. It's just a little bit easier that way. But if we do, we'll post a picture of it. Hey, thanks for watching. Check us out at BreitWerks.com. And if you like these types of videos, hit that subscribe button.